Welcome to the Beyond Languages Reach podcast. This is episode 6, and I am Gaines Post. I'm a writer and musician, and this podcast is my attempt to combine those two interests. So, welcome. And I'm sorry it's been a little while since the last episode. Life gets busy, things happen. We're back to it now, though, and it's autumn in the Blue Mountains now. It's beautiful outside. It's been a beautiful autumn day. Sunny, crisp, cool, warm in the sun. And I've tried a few times to record this. Oh, hello, pussycat. I tried a few times to record this outside, but because it's such a nice day, I guess a ton of people are doing work, including council. They're doing a bunch of chipping and chainsawing and whatnot. So it was just quite loud. So I decided to come in here and do it here. So what I do in each episode is I play a bit of music. I read something that I've written, often fiction, sometimes prose of another sort. And then I'll play a bit of music, usually improvise a bit of music inspired by that piece of prose. So today I've decided I'm gonna take a trip down memory lane, and this is a journal that this is one journal, one of several journals that I filled when I was in studying and traveling around southwest China and eastern Tibet many years ago. And so I've decided I'm going to go ahead and read a few entries from it. They're a little bit non sequitur. There aren't always dates written in it. I was 19. My handwriting still hadn't improved. I never got good marks or grades in elementary school for handwriting. So I'm going to do my best to read it. But this is, this first entry is from February 4th, 1993. And I was in the province of Yunnan. Based on what this first sentence says, I'm guessing I was in the town of Lijiang, and I was 19. I had completed a semester abroad, and I decided to stay and travel around and go exploring, get lost. February 4th, 1993. She leaves for Kunming tomorrow. A flash of Huang Cheng's face as she turned around, arm on Zhang Shuhui's shoulder. 别生气啊. She really is very kind, she said in round, spaced words, almost sounding British with her accent. The next entry is actually a quote from Bird, and the word bird is capitalized, so I'm assuming that it is a reference to Charlie Parker. The universe is a spiraling big band and a polka-dotted speakeasy. The next entry, I don't know if this is the same day or if this is weeks later. I didn't always write a date, unfortunately. Last night I had a complex dream. Something about a swimming pool covered with ice. There was a dark room and what looked like a 40-foot-long blue sleeping bag on the floor. Gavin, Mom, Dad, 2 other relatives, and Chad were in it, half asleep. Melanie was also there. She and Chad had been drinking cheap beer. For some reason, I could not go in. Dad and Chad were explaining to me where the swimming pool was, to which I later went, though it was night. What I wonder now is why I wasn't also in the bag. Didn't even occur to me that I should be with my family. I was an outsider looking in. Yeah, I had just returned from China and I had a funky hairstyle. There's the funky hairstyle. I don't know if you can see that. And next to that doodle, looks like a bit of a poem. I'm sweating. I am the sweating branch, sun reflecting silver on smooth gray bark, wet bandana in the bright sand of the trail. I hear the distant buzz of a jumbo grasshopper. Next entry. I have a complex. I'm too uptight. I'm impatient with life. Evidence that I'm trying to face my psyche? It's become convoluted and fucked up. Life is not a bunch of images. It is something moving, close, right in front of our noses, and never will slow down or speed up. Why apply time when we don't have the imagination capacity to know what it is? The palms of pine needles flow with the wind's occasional sigh, serene in their solitude. The shadows play with patches of sun in the grass beneath the trees. Bright yellow is tossed back and forth between the gray mass, childlike in its cautious but explosive temper. Because, in this forest, day is only the guest in night's hall, a ceremonial curtsy for the interest of balance in the universe. The birds know this. They stay up in the canopy. Do they prefer a ceiling of blue? Next day. At this point in my life, I basically want to sit and stare at beautiful things. Do I really want to know the answers to questions like why and how and what? I must think about it long and hard before blindly diving into the assumption that I do. So much of this journal is self-psychoanalysis. I'm almost insanely self-conscious. This may well be the first problem to take care of. Not sure I ever took care of that. Then, or at the same time, but with a separate concentration, I can decide what I want to do, where in life to go. For now, though, I must wake up. I think I've closed up a bit in the last couple of months. Events happening around me are like a dream, and nothing seems to stick, especially in my mind. Whether that is important or not, that's the question. Memory. Detachment from the world presses my neck, sending furrows to brow and taut muscles all the way down to the back of my knee. I need to wake up. I am here, now. At the bottom of this wooded hill is not Grayson Court or a grass yard. Grayson Court is the street I grew up on. There are hundreds of black-tiled roofs, crammed together and flowing out like a blanket, alleys cobblestoned. The calmness, the patient sound of wind in the trees surrounds me. My butt slides down, pushing into the pine needles and dirt. The air smells clean, rejuvenating, reminds me of pines in other places, or other places with pines. A start toward the relaxation of my soul, to take off this watch, and then to tackle the challenge of accepting reality, of raising my eyes bravely, of not just laughing with the angels as Kundera describes. I am not a wanderer, but a searcher in this world. This delay has been long enough. I must push on. I must wake up. Now I must. And I think maybe I'll stop there. Below there's a list of some words I was learning Chinese at the time. 逻辑学, logic. 野兽, beast. There's a couple of attempts at Tibetan words as well. Yong, a book for, I can't read that word, Lamastic chants, something like that. Sedrong Lijiang. Anyway, as I usually do after reading a bit of my prose, I'm gonna improvise a piece of music now, inspired by that. I can picture that part of the world now. I can smell the wood smoke. I can smell the mountain air. It's quite a trip reading those words that I wrote when I was 19 years old. I was there for a bit more than a year, and the memories are pretty intense, and but a lot of them are vague, or they're just certain things I remember. But reading the details. And I only wish I had written more, but it puts me right there. I remember the faces. I remember the people I met. I remember being caught between languages. My Chinese was very limited at the time, and I got by as I could. But the deeper I went, the further I went, further up the river, so to speak. The the farther I got from Chinese-speaking communities, and until most of the people around me just spoke Tibetan or the local dialect of Tibetan, and I spoke no Tibetan. Jasi Dile, Jasi Nima. I did learn some words, but not many. And I can remember so many people smiling. The language didn't really matter. You can communicate with someone without knowing a lot of words. Sometimes it's just a friendly gesture, like, hey, come into my home, join us for dinner. Would you like some buttered tea? Do you miss your mother? Where are you going? Where are you from? Whole conversations can be had without knowing a single word in the language that to you is foreign, just with gestures and so on, and tone of voice. So yeah, I was, people talked at me a lot in Tibetan, and I understood some of what they meant, and but with patience and with kindness, you can convey a great deal and you can understand a great deal. I love that about communication. That's one of there are a lot of ugly things about being human, but that's one thing that I think is quite beautiful, is our ability to communicate both with words and without. Anyway, I think I'll end this episode here. Thank you very much for joining me. This has been episode 6 of the Beyond Languages Reach podcast, and I will try to get back into doing this a bit more regularly. Sorry for the long delay between episodes. If you'd like to learn more about my writing and or my music, you can go to www.otherspect.com, and in the comments, feel free to ask me questions or give me feedback. I'm open to it. And I hope you have a wonderful week or weekend, whatever it may be for you. And I hope you'll join me next time. Take care. Thank you very much for joining me. Bye-bye.